They don't have Nick Saban to save them. I just don't see them stopping me. He's talking about Alabama. Thomas Castellanos, last we heard of him, obviously, he was sitting down, stepping away from Boston College. Him and Bill O'Brien got into a bit of beef. And look, I'm a Texans fan, so I don't trust anything Bill O'Brien says. But other than that, you saw that he stepped away. He entered the transfer portal, and he went to all of places, Florida State. And now, if you've been watching this channel long enough, you know early in the season, we made a mockery of Florida State and their mockery of a season that they displayed last year, which was just an absolute horror show. They had Brock Glenn out there praying that he wouldn't get absolutely suplexed out. It was bad scenes. It was bad scenes all around. Now, Thomas Castellanos comes from Boston College and now is joining FSU, and he is more than confident that coming into the opener against Alabama, of all places or all teams, that they're going to smoke them. He says that they don't have Nick Saban to save them. I just don't see them stopping me. He's talking about Alabama. Now, I get it. Alabama had a bit of a disappointing season last season under new head coach Kalen DeBoer, but we got to keep everything in perspective. And this is the world of the transfer portal, right? And y'all know, as someone who covers Deion Sanders pretty often, and this is pretty funny because Florida State has had a very, very rough go of it since they haven't let Deion. Now, we ain't going to go that far. But what I will say is that when you look at the stats, and I say all that to say, like, maybe you can turn the team over very quickly, but y'all tried to do that last season, and this is what it resulted in. Now, keep in mind, there's only 134 teams in college football at the FBS level, right? So, points a game, they were 132nd in yards a game. This is Florida State last year. 134th in points of play. So dead last, right? 3.9 yards of play, 133rd, almost dead last. 132 in third down conversion, almost dead last, right? Red zone scoring percentage, 104th. 91st in opponent's points per game. 84th in opponent's yards a game. Number 111th in third down conversion from the defensive side of the ball. Yards of rush, 132. You know, when we talk about Colorado having one of the worst rushing attacks, somehow Florida State's was worse, which is kind of impressive. It really is. Defensive side, 118, 98th, and 118th in rankings. Passing statistics, 130th in complete. 130th in complete. Yo. He's shooting field goal percentages out there. Golly. Anyway, here's Thomas Castellanos' stats so far. Before we get into it, because he was talking pretty spicy. See you, Stacy. Appreciate you showing up. But he's talking pretty spicy to a team that he has to see the first game of the season, dog. First game of the season. So, obviously, and he also says some other things, right? He says, some positive things, but we're going to get into that. But clearly, when you say something like that, people worry about you, right? Now, this is one of them troll accounts on ESPN, but still funny, right? Brody Sheets says Florida State quarterback Castellanos is being checked for CTE. And it says it looks like a pair of Alabama defenders, Kelby Collins and left tackle Overton. I don't know who that is. Or maybe his name is LT Overton. Have already found Thomas Castellanos' comments from this morning on Instagram. Hey, it's the social media area, son. Or social media era, son. Right? So not only are they gonna get it quick, but they're gonna respond quite quick too. You feel me? So these are all Alabama either recruits and or players. 5-star linebacker recruit by both FSU and Bama. So this is an FSU recruit and an Alabama recruit. He's been recruited by both. Weighs in on the Thomas Castellanos statements. He says, bet you wish you were on the team already so you can do some damage as well. Interesting. He just, hey man. So that's who this dude is, 256 Zay. He's being recruited by both. But he also had some other things to say. We're going to talk about the craziness about the whole Alabama situation. But just to go for it, Florida State quarterback Thomas Castellanos is all in on winning in 2025. So, again, if you're going to say crazy things like that, I would hope you're pretty confident. I would hope you understand what the ramifications of that are, right? Giving a top SEC school, I know they struggled to end the season last year. They lost to Oklahoma, yada, yada, yada. But we're not going to sit here and say that Alabama isn't primed to be a top SEC school again. I just don't know what you're looking at. I'm not sure if you've been looking at the recruit rankings, but Alabama, they ain't forgot how to recruit, okay? I'll tell you that. Nick Saban might not be able to help them, but they figured it out in that recruiting room, okay? But he says, I'm just playing for Florida State. I'm sorry, I'm not just playing for Florida State. This is what Thomas Castellanos says. I'm playing for coaches who are fathers and who have homes and families here. I'm trying to save jobs and win. And then he also says, I'm not the fastest one on the team over here. I'm not the most athletic guy on the team. They got the team. They got the guys. All they needed was a leader in place to lead them. Now, I think some of these comments can be interesting, especially somebody who left Boston College in the way you say, because here's the thing. I'm a Texas fan. I know Bill O'Brien is a terrible person. He's the greatest destroyer of lives of all time, but he's also a good football mind. And I think he's a respected football mind. Okay, so I think when people just hear Thomas Castellanos got benched, because that's what happened. Thomas Castellanos was bad. He was bad at football for a while there for Boston College. Okay, so he got benched. After getting benched, stepped away from the team, obviously entered the transfer portal. And I think it's important to have that conversation because Bill O'Brien then went on to send anonymous reports, and we don't have to go deeper into that. I want to focus on these comments and the ramifications for this season. But I'm not sure if y'all remember in the old video that we made about Thomas Castellanos, it got so crazy that Bill O'Brien was sending text messages to media members about, hey, Thomas Castellanos just isn't, he isn't our type of guy. And again, I'm never going to be on Bill O'Brien's side. What I am going to tell you, Thomas Castellanos, is that these quotes will be pulled back up. If you talk about messing with a hornet's nest, right? Alabama fans, dog, they can get active. They can get active. These quotes will be pulled up. The perceived quit on your team, it will be pulled up. It will be framed as such. People are going to want to know why you went from Boston College to a team that had a historically terrible seasons. We documented Florida State seasons. Historically awful, top 3 worst losing percentage in the inception of Florida State football. And you want me to believe and everyone else to believe. And look, I love the confidence. I love Shedeur say, hey, I like this. I want to go on the record and say, I liked it. I'm not speaking no ill will of them. But in the same way I tell Shedeur, hey, it's going to be some negative consequences. If you're going to bark up the tree, don't end up like that Vanderbilt defensive lineman, right? So can I say, as somebody who yaps about football on the regular, we have to at least give Thomas Castellanos his credit to give us something to talk about. Because the insanity of thinking that Florida State roster just on paper can get anything done. Matter of fact, because I've been big in the fact checking world, right? Because it's one thing to be confident. It's another thing to call out a very talented roster in Alabama. Alabama didn't get worse. I think Alabama's going to be a better team than they were last year. Right now, they had to figure out the quarterback situation. They do have to figure it out. But you retain Ryan Williams. I think you get another few pieces here and there. Let's look at transfer rankings, football 2025. Wow. Okay. All right. So, Jale Mathens, offensive tackle, boom, from Rutgers, 3-star guy. Okay. Hakeem Williams, he went to somewhere familiar. You lost a guy to Liberty. You gained a guy from, where is this? What school? I don't even know what school this is. You got a cornerback from Houston. Okay, there's some flavors here, dog. There's some good talent, but is there any talent that makes me think that you should be talking that crazy about the base of Alabama? Who, if I remember correctly, I know last year they had a lot of major losses. Let's not even, hey, again, let's not do it. FSU transfer losses. I literally had to count by hand 27 transfers out of the total 50 transfers. So again, anybody that you lose is probably a positive thing. You bring in 23 new transfers, like we talked about. Here's those differences there. Here's the offensive lineman too, by the way, that I was talking about, right? You get your offensive tackle from Vanderbilt. You get an offensive tackle from Rutgers. You get a nice backup quarterback, by the way. Cornerback, wide receiver, linebacker. I don't care. I care about that offensive line. Like I showed you those terrible stats at the beginning. Ole Miss offensive lineman. Okay. We're having a conversation. Okay. Oh, UCF offensive lineman. We're having a conversation. UCF had one of the most potent rushing attacks. Now, Harvey Jr. is a dog. Like, let's not get that twisted. But, it takes two to tango in the running game. And they had an elite running game at the beginning of the season. Gunnar Hansen from Vanderbilt. So you get some offensive line. Maybe Thomas Castellanos has seen something in these spring practices that we just can't see. You know what I'm saying? Because, by the way, one of the reasons why, if you've been seeing, I did a lot of Florida State, spring. I did Texas spring. I did any spring that I could find footage of. And Florida State's I could not really find any footage of until now. These little itty bitty snippets of that. So clearly, look, and to be honest with you, I know Florida State is a laughing stock, and they're going to be treated as a laughing stock until, you know what I'm saying? Here we go. Until the end of that Alabama game. And then, whether they, show to be a respectable team that can, tango with an elite SEC team, or if they're the same Florida State team last season that just lost in a lot of different positions, it's gonna be a lot to say. But I don't think you need a 5'11" quarterback this excited or getting Alabama your first game of the season, getting them some bulletin board material and them getting them even more fired up. I don't think or understand why you would think that a team like not even a team like a team like Alabama, who's coming off the season they had, who Kalen DeBoer, who's on the hottest of seats already after one season, right? They don't need no reasons to go ahead and smash Florida State while y'all are still trying to figure things out. But hey, I like it. I like that we get to talk about it. I like that he's making it exciting. I think it's going to be dope. Shout out to Gus Malzahn getting the boys going too. You know what I'm saying? Lots of greatness happened. If you're a Florida State fan, let me know. How do you feel if you are a Florida State fan? How do you feel about these comments from Thomas Castellanos? He obviously put it out there and he said Nick Saban cannot save Alabama. If you're an Alabama fan, how do you feel about these comments? Is there going to be any mercy for Thomas Castellanos and Florida State cinnamon rolls? Shout out to Matt Be Great, man. Shout out to Matt Be Great, man. Real inspiration to this stuff, man. Like this video if you like it. Dislike this video if you don't like it. Subscribe if you enjoy football content of all shapes and sizes. Really appreciate y'all rocking with me. Continue to be fantastic, and we will see you next time. Peace.